Your top 10, sir.
I'm just going to, we don't need to get into a discussion about all 10. In fact, I have 11. So I just remembered another one. So one of them, I guess, would have to go. But you know what? I'm just going to do 11. These are my top 11.
Gary, you
this
can
one goes
tell us
to 11,
about
Mike.
some of your favorite games. That's
all right,
what we want to
hear.
hear.
Glasses off so I can see up close. My eyesight. So again, I followed the rules here. It doesn't have to be an Xbox exclusive, but it was a game that I played on the Xbox.
Yeah.
So it was a Xbox game for me. And this is across all generations of the Xbox from the beginning. Red Dead Redemption is one of my all-time favorite games. Braid, one of my all-time favorite games. I remember Xbox Live Arcade gave us so many goodies. Braid for me was the top one. I'm so excited that new version's coming out. Very excited. Mass Effect 2, that's in my all-time top 5 across any platform. Inside, not everyone agrees with me on that one, but that was a game that really affected. Alana, did you like Inside?
Oh my God, I love Inside. I think that I would put that in my top 10 games ever made. People disagree with you on that one? That game's
Some people disagree. It's not for everyone, but I loved it. What a mood that game.
Do you remember the
sets.
freaky special edition collectible statue they sent out?
I have it.
No way, Alana. Really? Oh, that's crazy.
I have it downstairs. It's so made by Real Doll. It's actual. It's a sex doll company, so it feels like real human skin, and it's just like, well, it's kind of a spoiler, but I've had many people come here and be like, "What is this exactly?"
I've never had a game when I played Inside that made me feel like genuine apprehension and fear. Like there were moments when I was like so afraid of getting caught in a spotlight or ravaged by those dogs or whatever, or those ghostly things that chase you under the water. It's like, I was so
If anyone listening hasn't played Inside, play it. I'm sure it's on Game Pass.
What an incredible game.
With headphones. Play it with headphones.
This is one that definitely most people, well, I don't know about most, but many people don't agree. But for me, again, it's all-time top 10, The Artful Escape. I loved that game so much. And maybe it's just me, like it just hit me, right? You know, I always say no two people ever see the same piece of art because everyone looks through it, through their own individual lens. Whatever bias, prejudices, life experience you've had gets reflected through that prism before you interpret the art. So it's different for everyone. But like for me, it was just, I was so fucking blown away by that game. And I've left it for a while because I want to play it again, but I want to wait until like I've almost forgotten how good it was so I can try to like have that first experience again. Knights of the Old Republic. I still remember staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning on the original Xbox playing that game. Absolutely loved it. I know which one I can kick off. GTA 5, that was an Xbox game for me. Still one of my all-time favorites. GTA 6, of course, is my most anticipated game. Some of the best world building and sense of... I've spent hours playing GTA 5, doing literally nothing, not even doing side quests, just like playing golf, doing yoga, just like wandering around the city and just feeling like you're living... I've said this a million times. This is the last XCast, so I'll just say it one more time. For me, the best games are not a game that you play. They're a place that you go.
Yeah.
And you inhabit that place and you get to live in a different world for a while. And Los Santos feels like such a living world. It has such a sense of place and being alive that I just love spending time in that game. Yakuza Like a Dragon. Fucking loved that game. I love that game. It's so wacky and so Japanese and so weird and no Western developer could ever make it. And yet at the same time, it has this genuinely affecting and powerful and tragic story. Like there's a real heartbreaking story buried within there. And the theme of the game which is all about the power of friendship and how important it is to have friends around you and how friends will do anything for one another. And you're strong, you're stronger as a collective. A group of friends is greater than the sum of its parts. And now Ichiban, who I think is one of the greatest game protagonists of all time, like I cried at the end of that. The final shot of him, I'm going to get misty-eyed just doing it now. The final shot of him when you realize that all he's ever wanted to do is be a good person, and he's like accomplished that now, and he's so satisfied that he's done something good. Like I was oh my God, like that game will live with me forever. And I did the true final Millennium Tower, which is the final tower you go back and do on extra super duper hard. When I finally beat that, I've never had a greater moment of triumph in a game. I literally threw the controller in the air, like the mortarboard, at a graduation, like you throw your caps in the air. I was just so, oh my God, that game just took me away. And then Crimson Skies on the original Xbox. Don't remember much about it, but I remember when I was playing it, I loved it to bits. So that's my top 10.
That's
great. I think that's a respectable top 10.
I think that's a great top 10. Paris, do you have a couple?
Okay, so I purposely was just going to wing it because I shouldn't have to put any research into this to come up with a top 10 for Xbox. You got to start with Combat Evolved. Obviously, that's an easy one. Yep. Another one for me on the original Xbox would be that first Ghost Recon. that was my OG Xbox Live game that I love to play with my buddies. We were talking about it the other week, Mike. Lynx. That was the other one. OG Xbox had to play.
Oh, God. I remember that was the first golf game that let you take shots simultaneously multiplayer.
Yes.
Saved so much time.
XSN. Yeah, it was so good. And then, wait, that was 3 or 4. But KOTOR, that'd be 4, of course. Going to 360 era, got to say Gears of War. First one, clearly.
Gears was my 11th.
I'm going to lump the Halos all. Halo 1, 2, and 3 are all together. Boop.
Would you just cheat and say, like, Master Chief Collection?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, basically.
Let's just put Master Chief Collection on the board.
BioShock,
great call.
Great game.
Mass Effect 2. I mean, just one of the greatest games ever
Unbelievable game.
Or In the Blind Forest. It's a great Xbox game. Cuphead was another amazing Xbox game. And I could keep going on and on, but I'm going to end it, and I'm going to say Psychonauts 2 here in this current generation. I think what Double Fine did with that game was phenomenal.
Love that.
Another very respectable list.
Looking for the perfect gift to celebrate the moms in your life? Aura frames are beautiful Wi-Fi connected digital picture frames that allow you to share and display unlimited photos. It's super easy to upload and share photos via the Aura app, and if you're giving Aura as a gift, you can even personalize the frame with preloaded photos and memories. How do I, Greg Miller from Kinda Funny, know so much about Aura? Because I just gave Jen one for her birthday. I used the QR code on the box to preload it with photos of her and Benny, and when she booted it up for the first time, she got to see a sweet little message from me. I like this frame so much that I am actually legitimately buying one for my mother for Mother's Day. From grandmothers to new mothers, aunts, and even friends in your life, every mom loves an Aura frame. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off, plus free shipping for their best-selling frame. That's AURAFrames.com. Use code KINDAFUNNY at checkout to save. And Mom, if you see this before you get your Aura frame for Mother's Day, please act surprised.
Alana, we've talked about some of your favorite games. Give me some.
You've covered a lot of them. You got some bangers in there. Mass Effect 2, one of the GOATs. I think my number one favorite Xbox game of all time is Fable: The Lost Chapters. It's the game I played more than any other game, / Fable Anniversary. I don't know what it is about the charm of that original Fable. I love the combat. I feel like I'm still trying to find that combat system in other games. The closest I think I got was Kingdoms of Amalur. Like, I just love the first Fable so much.
Shit, I should have put the first Fable in.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's all right, it's here now. We've done it.
I know. It can't ever be in my top 10 now, but no, you're right. That was an amazing game.
Such a good game. Yeah, all of the Halos. I go 1 through, ODST and Reach as well. It's sometimes there are those games that you feel like have had an impact on your life. My life is different because of those games.
100%.
Like, I feel like Halo is a part of my being because of those games, and there are like so many core memories that I have that are tied to playing Halo multiplayer or playing through campaigns with friends in high school. Like, Halo is just such a big part of my whole world that it's really a part of me. Gears 2, the first and only game that's ever made me cry. And I think that it kind of maybe even changed a little bit of how I feel about the medium and maybe put me on the path of where I am today. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Gears 2 made me go, oh, this can be really emotionally impactful. And I remember feeling so defensive of that game because from the outside, Gears is a bro shooter where everyone has biceps the size of tree trunks, right? Like, from the outside, it doesn't look like it would have any emotional resonance, but it absolutely does, and it just for everything to do with it. Horde,
is it really the only game that ever made you cry? There's got to be like
but it's really hard to make me cry. So that one, it is the only game that's made me cry. I don't cry at a lot of media, so it's a hard bar to pass, but it really, really affected me.
I cry so easily at like movies and stuff.
I think that's healthier. I'm also going to put a little bit of recency bias, but unironically think this is one of the best games ever made, Tunic.
Tunic is legit.
When I first got into Tunic, it took me a while. I played maybe the first 3 hours, and I was like, yeah, it's a Zelda. It's got some Soulsy stuff, whatever. And then as I played through that game and finished that game, I just am still in awe of the fact that it even exists. Like, if you haven't played Tunic, my God, is it
It's
unbelievably
it's an amazing
incredible.
game.
It's really, really good.
It's just there's this thing that Tunic does where there are puzzles right in front of you, but it flips the switch on you in a way that sort of The Witness does, where you don't realize they're puzzles and the whole world changes. And it's just like, I struggle
love
to
games
think
like
of
that. Like it takes
Totally.
a while for it to reveal itself to you as like what it really is, right? And how much there is going on.
And then there are layers to that, because then there's like another reveal and another reveal. And then there's so many moments in that game where you're like, this meant that? And it's so weird to talk about, but God, just such an awe-inspiring experience. I think that game is just so unbelievably incredible. Highly recommend playing through that as well. It is tough, but they also have really good accessibility options. Like if you have trouble with the difficulty, I think you can even turn off all damage. So some of those boss fights are really hard. I would recommend sticking through them. Literally any time. If you want to ask me for strategies for taking down Tunic bosses, I would love to talk to you about Tunic. I just absolutely adore that game. And I give a little shout out to Fusion Frenzy. I feel like it's got to be represented in there somewhere. Just a lot of really early iconic memories of the platform that we got to bring it back.
You know, a couple of other games I would put in that Tunic category, maybe not as good as Tunic, but games that I really enjoyed in the same way. And again, some recency bias, sure, but Death's Door, which I know you love.
Oh my God.
And
love Death's Door.
And Cult of the Lamb, also fantastic.
You know what? Cocoon was really good too.
I still haven't played it. I've got it installed. I haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
Cocoon does this really cool thing. I finished that in one sitting. Cocoon does this really cool thing where if you were to start playing that game, it's similar to Tunic, where it's like, I don't think there's any English in it. It's like Tunic has a little bit of English, but very, very little. When you get to the end of Cocoon, you're doing things that if you were to try to describe them to yourself at the start, it would not make any sense whatsoever.
Exactly.
Like the puzzles reveal themselves so slowly and the language is so strong that you fully understand what you're doing. But if I were trying to describe to somebody, well, I took this orb and I put it inside that orb, but then I have to move this thing. So when this fires, it goes through that orb and then lands on it. It wouldn't make any sense at all. Like you're basically traversing worlds in that game. But it really catches you up on how intricate it is so slowly that you're doing this very high level meta stuff and you kind of don't even realize that that's what's happened. That also a really, really fantastic game. I feel the same. Outer Wilds is
another one for
that particular effect. And I think Inside made me feel a little bit like that too.
Sure. And Inside and Braid and
why did you just shake your head at me, Barrett?
No, I was shaking my head at Paris, who was, just throwing cans around everywhere.
I mean,
knocked his LaCroix over.
Yeah, this top 10 is going to keep shifting, but I keep thinking of games now. We're having this conversation. Yeah. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did that for me. Big Style. It Takes Two. One of the best design games ever made.
A Way Out and It Takes Two.
A Way Out is actually really good. That's someone that gets forgotten, but it's actually really good.
Yeah.
And what I love about indie games is the way that we've been talking about games the last 5 minutes, saying things like, "Oh, it's so interesting the way it reveals to you like this, and there's layers, and it's surprising, and things at the end you wouldn't have imagined at the beginning." Never talk that way about AAA games because they don't do that kind of stuff. They don't engage in that level of experimentation or creative risk taking. That's what indie games are for.
Exactly.
And I think there are AAA games do a lot of things amazingly well. Some of my favorite games are AAA. But if you want to have that kind of that is so not what I expected type experience, that's why indie games exist.
Yeah.
Now a game I
think
forgot.
Hellblade does do that, but I don't know if it counts as AAA. I mean, it has to now, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think two is. I think the first one you still wouldn't say is AAA, but I get your point.
Probably, yeah.
But one game just before I forget, before you go, Mike, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory.
Oh
my God, and Chronicles of Riddick from that same era.
Yeah, oh my God.
Riddick as well.
That was OG Xbox too. That was so good.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah,
shouted it out, but shout out to Pentiment.
Pentiment.
Snubbed from our top 10
Pentiment.
of the year.
Love Pentiment.
Yeah. Gaming has always been something for me that brings me together with my friends and family. And that's what it will always be, is something that will get us all together on the couch or online and sharing moments together. So I have a lot of multiplayer games in mind, but you bring up Halo. Every single Halo has been special to me, no matter if they're good, bad, or ugly. I love them all. NFL Street, Volume 2, we talked about it. That NBA Street, that
still an
NFL Street.
Favorite.
The couch competitive nature of those games, bringing your friends together, screaming at the television because something didn't go your way.
I didn't think to include that because I actually played that on PlayStation 2.
Yes, of course.
One DJ Cucumber Slice, what a legend.
Portal 2. Shout out to Portal 2. I got to experience this with one of my first girlfriends ever, going over to her house and playing Portal 2 together and that kind of working through puzzles and getting to see, like you said, Gary, through someone else's eyes of what they see and their point of view and how you two can come together through communications to solve
That's
these.
how it was for me and my wife with It Takes Two. What an
Oh.
amazing game for that, yeah.
I'll always cherish that moment.
I unironically think Portal 2 is the best video game ever made. Whenever I'm asked for a list, I put Portal 2 literally number one, top of the list. It's hard not to put Portal as well, but Portal 2 like also has the story.
I remember, I mean, to a lesser extent with the original Portal as well, but certainly Portal 2, where they took it to a next level with the repulsion gel and everything. I remember so many times thinking, like, how did they come up with, like, how did they even begin to design that puzzle? It's so ingenious. It's absolutely brilliant.
You know, it's funny, Alana, you just mentioned that. You just mentioned that because on the plane up, I was watching Logan and Stephen Merchant is in it. And I'm thinking, as I'm watching it, how awesome he was as a voice character in Portal 2.
Totally.
He just made that story. He was so good.
Perfect casting.
What a special game that will always be for me. Some other ones that I do, of course, have to highlight. Titanfall 1. What a great time.
Game.
What an awesome experience for that to be an Xbox hit, multiplayer only, and to see the success of what it became with Titanfall 2 and that desire from the fan base to see more of it. I mean, that game rocked.
That was a fun game.
Absolutely banged. To be able to call in the Titan, to get in the Titan, to scurry up the side of a Titan and be able to drop a grenade in to slow that person down, wall running, zip lining. What a cool freaking video game.
I know Respawn's very busy these days, but Titanfall 3 would not be unwelcome.
I mean, that Titanfall 2 campaign is maybe one of my favorite FPS campaigns ever.
Yeah, ever. Period. Yeah.
So good.
Amped 3 snowboarding. What a great mix Amped 3 snowboarding was.
So I have to keep changing my list. For me, it's SSX 3.
I know it is. That's why I brought it up, Gary,
SSX.
because Amped 3 found that perfect mix of the over-the-top nature of SSX Tricky, mixing it with kind of like the real-world snowboarding in this perfect blend of you can go outrageously big or you can also keep it low and small like you would see in the real world, and I loved that blend of what they did and the outrageous nature of it all. It was totally mountain culture, and I loved every single moment of it.
SSX 3 is the only original Xbox game that I still have installed on my Series X at home because it's available. You can get it from the library, like $5. They upscaled it for current generation. It still looks amazing. Soundtrack still incredible.
Yes.
What a game.
It wouldn't be right to not call out the Xbox Connect. And so I will give a big shout out to NBA Baller Beats, which is the most outrageous game ever. It is Dance Dance Revolution meets NBA basketball. And so you are encouraged to dance with the basketball via dribble moves. And I always found the Connect to be absolutely ridiculous. And I loved when they blend, my world of basketball with video games. And, shout out to the Connect for just being weird, wacky, and a small piece of our lives,
Are you supposed to actually have a ball when you're playing
it came with the basketball when you bought it, too.
Wow.
Yeah, bounce the ball. That's all you did. Shout out to your downstairs neighbors just hating you the whole time.
Somehow this is the first time I've ever heard of it.
And then a couple final shout-outs I want to give is to Halo Wars 2 and Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2. Bringing RTS games to console on the controller. What a special time that was. I loved Battle for Middle-earth. I loved Halo Wars. I am so lucky to see now we get Age of Empires on the console, and it's celebrated and loved. What a really awesome time it is. So those are some great Xbox games that we all got to talk about.
Since you are talking about multiplayer, and I know it took a while to get to the Xbox, but it's on the Xbox, so it counts. I have to say, some of the most fun I've ever had playing a multiplayer game, and we've talked about it so many times on the show, we got to give one last shout out to Fall Guys. What a game. I know some people absolutely hate it because, it's a love or hate game, but my God, when that game was like when it was in its element, that was the game that made me realize that Mike, as nice as he is in real life, is a deeply toxic gamer. Oh my God, Mike, you're just the worst.
I love Fall Guys. To this day, I will still turn on Fall Guys.
I'll still play it. It's one of those
and
games
see if I can get a crown.
I don't know if I told you this, but like I hadn't played it in ages and ages, like probably 2 or 3 seasons had gone by. I thought, you know what, I should pick it up and try it. Let's see what's going on. I jumped in, played one game, amazingly won a crown. I was like, that's it, done. Never playing it again. I Costanza it out of the room. It's like I won a crown on my first game back, and I'm done. I haven't touched it since.
What a special time is right.